Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Logan. How are you, Logan?
I am doing well, Jordan. Happy belated Father's Day. I didn't wish you Father's Day,
Thank you.
but did I wish you Father's Day? Probably not. You're not my
You
daddy.
you asked me if my
Oh,
son
that's right. I did.
wished me
Yeah, and he
Father's Day,
didn't because
so
he's kind
I
of a
took
jerk.
that to
Yeah.
be you wishing me
It's pretty
Father's Day.
messed up that your kid didn't wish you Happy Father's Day, Jordan. Like, I mean, you birthed him.
No, he did give me a
Did
card.
he? Oh,
Yeah, he
that's
did give
solid.
me a card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. But
Mandalorian card,
yeah.
actually.
I
Mandalorian
yeah.
Grogu on it.
No, I was confused. I thought he was the one that was saying stuff about Christian Pulisic, but that's the other Landon. I got it. I got it
Yeah,
mixed up,
yeah,
you know.
no, yeah, different Landon. Yeah, yeah. Mine is not able to talk and say stuff about Pulisic yet. So
Yet. He
that's probably
yeah.
part of the problem.
In about what, 8 years we can have him on?
Yeah,
When we feel comfortable allowing Landon on here.
all
Yeah,
depends. If he's like in a if he makes it to the under fives or
yeah,
whatever,
that's
we'll have
true.
him on.
That's
We'll
true,
have him
yeah.
on. But
US under 5s, I mean, they're looking solid this year, I'm not gonna lie.
I did buy him a goal.
Oh, yeah?
So he does have a goal and we're gonna be, practicing with that. But
You can tell him that most of the
get
US
him all
men's
set.
national team doesn't know how to find that particular thing on the field at times, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean he's already got a step ahead of him if he can put it in the back of the net. So well, right now he can't figure out kicking though. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of
that's
the spot. He keeps picking it up and I'm like hands,
that
and then I take a penalty and I make him block it.
honestly, yeah,
And you know,
that's really a shame that he just doesn't grasp the concept that what is he now, 8 months?
not yet. He's 11
Oh my
months, almost
gosh.
12.
Is it?
Almost
Oh,
a
that's
year,
right,
yeah.
because I was up there in about that's crazy to me how
Yeah.
quick time goes.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with any of your kids. I know Jordan or the other Jordan's kid was born in January because it's right around my birthday. That's what I remember. But I
Yeah,
should
there you
remember
go.
that because what it's was his July? End of July, right? Last day
Yeah,
of July? It
July.
was the last day.
No, early first
First
day
day
of
of July.
July.
I
First
couldn't
day of
remember. It
July,
was one
yeah.
of those things.
Close.
So, yeah.
It was either the beginning or
Right,
the
and
end.
it was close, so
Uh, we got a lot to talk about today. We got Club World Cup, we got Gold Cup, we got MLS action because for some reason they decided to play a full slate of games on
yeah, they did.
Saturday, the same day that the Club World Cup's kicking off, the same day that the Gold Cup was kicking off. And I actually have a problem with this, Logan, because I see Don Garber out there tweeting, Miami, we're kicking off Club World Cup, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, then why do we schedule games? Why do we schedule games for
Yeah,
this? Don't you want people to watch
right.
the Club World Cup games? I don't know.
Their teammates to watch them,
Um,
like, that's kinda, I don't know.
yeah,
It's weird.
yeah,
It's a weird like, this whole scheduling, Jordan, we can talk about it 'cause it's kind of a topic I wanna discuss with Club World Cup coming up too. Like, I wanna I mean, we can talk about it now. Just
yeah. Go ahead.
how brutal it is that FIFA decides to schedule what was that a Thursday? What was that, Monday? What day was that Chelsea game?
Oh, the Monday at
Monday at
3 o'clock
3:00.
in the East
Yeah.
Coast.
In Atlanta, like, Jordan, it looked like a combine, like, it looked like a draft combine. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, "Is there football going on out there? Like, are people running around the track and stuff? What's happening?"
No, yeah, I turned it on and they're doing the player intros, and I was like, oh, it is empty. It is empty.
Did you see they were trying to pitch it as a
I
sellout?
No, I didn't. I understand why it was empty. All right. Like, look, okay, so far the tournament is actually averaging 41,000 a game or
Yep.
whatever. Now, obviously, it's only been like what, 4 match days, 3 match days, whatever. That's pretty
Yeah.
good, I think. But like some of these games, like today, Dortmund, 12 o'clock. Why? The real World Cup is not going to be kicking off at 12
Right.
o'clock. They usually do it in the evening. I don't understand why they were set up that way. And then, instead of yesterday, 3 o'clock, they could have done 5, 7, and 9 instead of having the hour in between games because they're not actually at the same place. So you could do 5, 7, and 9. And once one game's done, you flip over to the next game, or even delay it 15 minutes, 30 minutes from the next, 5, 7:30, 10, whatever, right? Like that would make more sense, I think, than having a 3 o'clock game in the middle of the week for a tournament that is not prestigious. So I want to clarify this because I know people might be like, well, maybe there will be 3 o'clock games next year at the World Cup. Maybe. But the issue here is that the World Cup is an event that people do know is going on
Yeah,
next
and
year.
they'll miss work for it.
They will miss work for it, yes, and then you'll also have the other, other country fans there, and they'll be visiting. You don't have a lot of Chelsea fans from like England coming over to see
Right.
this game. You just don't. This tournament doesn't mean enough yet in that regard. So I think that was a huge mistake playing a game at 3 o'clock, and then today playing a game at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the East
Yeah.
Coast like that. Like I know they're probably also scheduling it so that way maybe fans overseas can
Right.
watch it, right? But
But I
it is a vibe
right.
killer.
Here's the thing. Here's why this never works. Here's why it only works during the World Cup, and it's always this case with us though. Like, and I get it. We're not necessarily we're kind of a fair weather country when it comes to watching soccer. I get it. I totally understand. We're not. It's not the popular sport here. It's not even close to the first or second top sport in this country. Like, people will get up at 9 a.m. Jordan to see their NFL team play in London. Like, that's common. They're not getting up at 7:30 to watch Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Some of them are, but again,
Some
it's
are, but
tough,
not to the
right?
level, not to the level that the
But
NFL fans are,
here's
right?
my
Like we have our diehards that go to the
right,
bars, they watch at 4 o'clock on the West Coast
yeah,
and all that, but like those are a
yeah.
minority.
Here's my pitch. Like, try to schedule as many as you can using the weekends. And I get that there's going to be some conflict with but if you're marketing to the US people, which that seemed to be what they were trying to do, obviously, by bringing the tournament here, you can't market it here. And basically, everything that you're doing around it, as far as broadcasting, is meant for the people overseas. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you've got to pick, right? Like, it's the same thing the World Cup will do. The World Cup in Asia, they don't start the game like Jordan. You and I are waking up at 4 a.m. to watch
Yeah.
World Cup in Asia. It's not like I think they got to do the same thing with this Club World Cup. And to be honest with you, a lot of those European fans in June, Jordan, they're out on vacation. They're not worried on holiday. They're not worried about this tournament. Like, this is an exhibition tournament. It doesn't really mean that much to these teams. I don't think. Like, they're going to come over. They're going to bring their players with them. I was actually shocked by how many players came over, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, yeah.
again, I feel like if you're going to go into the US, then you need to market it to the US fan. Like, it's just what you got to do. And I think
So
there's
the way that the way that I understand this happening is before we used to get the Confederations Cup. So the Confederations Cup would be the year before the World Cup, and it would be hosted at the place that's hosting the World Cup, and it would be, the teams that won the Gold Cup, the teams that won the Euros, the teams that won uh, the AFCON, teams that won the AFC Asian one. I forget what that is. And that would be your trial run before the World Cup. They did away with that, and I think in large part because they wanted to try to fit this in. So they still, it'll be really curious to see is the next Club World Cup, if it happens, is that at the next World Cup host? Because if it is, then they're kind of using this as the Confederations Cup, but now getting club money for
mm-hmm.
it. Or, like you said, was it just trying to get a money grab from America and they try to do it again here in 4 years? That I'll be curious on how they're going to do that.
I just don't. I mean, yeah, yeah. Like, I think you've got to decide. I think it's a good idea, like you said. I think what like Federation would have been. I think it's a good idea to trial run something in the United. But like, what kind of trial run is this if you're running games at 3 p.m. on an afternoon and Monday where kids are out of school, people are vacationing. They're not going to go see Atlanta, or they're not going to Atlanta to play or to see Chelsea play LAFC. Like, that's just not you're bringing LAFC over to Atlanta. Like, what is Atlanta a big hotbed for Chelsea fans? Like, I don't know. It's a very
Mm,
odd mixture. Just because I know in the deep South, Jordan, like in Atlanta and stuff, like they're I get that they can fill that stadium with their MLS team, but they're not interested in watching LAFC play. Like, so there's that. And then like nobody in Atlanta wants an LA team play. Like put LA back over in LA. Like why are we doing? Why do we have them over here? That doesn't make sense.
It's because they were a late addition.
Right. Yeah, they were
yeah,
yeah.
very late addition.
You saw the TikTok though that I sent you.
Yes, it was
I was
funny.
like,
It was funny.
so those that are listening have no idea because you're not in the chat with Jordan and I. I sent him the TikTok.
You should
Yeah,
be.
you should be. Join us. No, it's an English guy and he's trying to explain to his other English friend why they're watching this game. And like what the FIBA or FIBA that's the basketball FIFA Club World Cup was, and he was like, oh, so like the best two teams out of the country are in it, and he's like, oh, okay, so you've got Arsenal, Liverpool. And they're like, no, that's not right. And then he's going through all the English Premier League teams, and he's like, no, that's not. No, you could do one on the MLS side. Like, why is LAFC in it? Well, I mean, because they wanted to be.
Yeah, he mentions
Right.
that with the Miami,
right. It's just funny.
No, but the of course it's played up because it's a funny bit, but I mean, really, the way to qualify is winning the Champions League, right? That's how. So because Chelsea and City have won the Champions League in the 4 years since there was, kind of like what they're going to do now going forward, right? Like, so whoever won the PSG will be qualifying because they won the Champions League. I looked it up because I didn't want to just talk out of my ass. Okay, where's the next Club World Cup? There are some bids that are going on. Australia with New Zealand is bidding for it. Okay. Spain, Portugal, and Morocco are bidding for it because they have the 2030 World Cup. So this would be, again, the preparation event, just like it is for us.
Is that weird?
And in December,
like that Spain, Portugal, and Morocco
are all,
hosting
it is
together?
very weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. In December of 2024, it was reported that FIFA was considering awarding the U.S. its second Club World Cup with the hopes of gaining American sponsors and to allow leagues to continue marketing efforts in the country. So if we get it again, it is the money move. So there you go.
Ooh, we love money too.
We do over here, yes.
So we're getting it, is what you're saying. Can we confirm that on this podcast?
I think we'll get it again. I really do.
I do too.
Like, unless if they're looking at some of this stuff, but like I said, like some of our stadiums are huge, and they're still being able to fill like on average 41,000, even if it looks kind of sparse. I mean, that might some stadiums over in like Spain don't even fit that many people, right? So they FIFA might look at it again and be like, yeah, or they might look at this and be like, you know what, it is kind of embarrassing. Let's move it over to football in countries like Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. But
did you see the one TikToker that came over from London to see Chelsea, and he went into Mercedes-Benz? He was like, "What is this place? Like, why is it so big?" I'll find it. I think it's the same. It might be no, it's not the same guy. But it was funny because he was like, he walks in and goes, "It looks like they landed a spaceship."
Yeah, I mean, our stadiums are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Wembley's their biggest. So,
yeah. Okay, let's talk Club World Cup. Then Miami had their draw against Al Ahly. It is what it is, right? 0-0 draw. We'll see how they proceed going onward, but I don't really have too much to say about that. I think the goalkeeper was outstanding, actually. So there you go. Sounders lose 2-1 to Botafogo, and they were really putting the pressure on at the end here against Botafogo, and I liked seeing it. This was that would have been a big victory just getting a draw, but they're not out of it. They're not out of it, but that is it's going to be tough path for the Sounders going forward. And of course, you mentioned it, LAFC 2-0 loss to Chelsea. They were holding on pretty well against Chelsea, I thought. This is a Chelsea that like you said,
They brought all
who
their
was bringing
guys.
people over. They brought a Cole
Yeah.
Palmer, right? Like all these players are
Yeah.
playing on the field, and it took like I think probably 30, 40 some minutes for
Mhm.
them to break through the first one, and then it kind of wrapped it up I think in like the 70 something minute, right? Like it was LAFC I thought did pretty okay against
Yeah.
Chelsea. I thought they were, you know, it is what it
Right. Well,
is,
I mean,
right? We kind of previewed last week and
yeah.
thought these teams are not making
Yeah,
it out.
but
So
I mean, you like you said, I think it helps LAFC to have former Premier League and Ligue 1 players and guys that have
mhm.
played with the French national team and Giroud and Hugo. I think that helps, and then you've got guys that have aspirations of being over there. And honestly, Jordan, I mean, LA's team and Miami, they've got guys that could still be playing in Europe or will be playing in Europe at some point. So yeah, no, I was impressed with the Sounders' ability and that game to be able to create and put pressure because I thought when the game first started, but all three of them kind of looked like that though, where they kind of were all like, "Whoa!" But again, I thought LAFC did a much better job of kind of wrangling that in. But when you go back and you look at the stats, it's funny because it looks like it does. It looks like a top tier team in the Premier League playing a bottom of the table, mid table
Mhm.
team. It looks like those stats where it's just constant pressure and they're just hanging on for dear life and hoping that they can at least surprise them. Because if you throw one punch at them, you might throw them off a little bit. But I think in every single one of these games, the other team was out on its front foot.
I wasn't too impressed by Botafogo that they are a Brazilian
Yeah.
club. I thought they would have probably been able to dispatch Seattle a little easier.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so let's take a look at the groups. We got Group A, all on 1 point. This is Al Ali, FC Porto, Palmeiras, and Inter Miami. All of them at 1 point. There's actually a good chance still here mathematically for Miami to move through. I'll make the case for Seattle, but then we'll have to weigh in who they're playing. But right now, Seattle sits with 0 points. So do Atletico Madrid, with PSG and Botafogo above them with 3 points. Here's what I can say. All right. You may have messed up against Botafogo, but you only have a negative 1 goal differential, while Atletico Madrid has a -4. If you don't give up that many goals against PSG and you can somehow eke out a draw and then you beat Atletico Madrid, you can get through Seattle. Okay, I think mathematically you can, but I'm almost worried Atletico's out already at this point. 4-0 to PSG, like that's crazy. I don't know how they come back from that because if they equal on any sort of draw, I mean, if they equal on any sort of points, it's going to go to goal differential and they're going to get bounced out. So, um, Group C, Bayern Munich, 3 points. They had a 10-goal win over Auckland City. This Auckland team is not the same Auckland team as in the League A or A League over in Australia. There was actually somebody on Facebook in the US soccer group I'm part of was like, how did a semi-pro team even qualify? I'm like, well, they won the
Yeah, they did.
Asian, I mean, they won the
Yeah.
Oceania Champions League because Australia has left Oceania and went to Asia. So the way for those Australian teams to qualify would be going through the Asian Champions League. Auckland got through by winning the Oceania league, and Oceania does not have a lot of like big clubs, so it worked out for Auckland. But how cool for them just to be here if they're not like fully professional. They got to play Bayern Munich, like that's pretty cool, even if they got run off
I
the
saw a I
field.
saw another TikTok on it. Like obviously the algorithm's working, Jordan. The FIFA World Cup stuff's
Yeah,
flying up my algorithm. They're all of them are full-time employees somewhere. So I actually saw one guy that was on the bench
it's
that
so
was
cool.
talking about it. He's a physio. He's like a sports therapy. Like so he was sitting on the bench and he's talking about he goes, and that's my buddy, that's my friend out there. It's just it's weird because like these guys, while they are professional, like semi-professional, they see him more as like that's my friend rather than that's my
Yeah,
teammate.
did you did you see any of these guys when you were in
You know what?
Auckland?
It's
Do
funny.
you
I was
recognize any
gonna
of them?
I probably at the
Like,
cafe,
oh, that was my
right? Yeah,
cashier,
that was the dude that was the
waiter.
guy that sold me sunscreen. That's awesome. Like, I'm so happy for him. But no,
Oh
you know what?
boy.
I'm gonna message our friends in New Zealand and in Auckland and be like, hey, you know any of these guys?
Hey, do you remember? Do you remember when you thought you were getting hand
Yeah,
sanitizer at Oriole Park and it was sunscreen?
that was so
It
awful.
just made me think of it when
No,
you
I
said
was wondering
that.
why it wouldn't come off my hands. I was like, I've been like rubbing my
Yeah.
hands together for like a good solid 5 to 10 minutes, and it would just won't. And Jordan goes, "That's sunscreen." I was like, "No, it's not." And then we walked over there, and sure enough,
Yep. Benfica with 1 point, Boca Juniors with 1 point, Auckland with 0, -10 goal differential. Only 6 goal differential worse than Atletico Madrid, so they can hang their hat on
Mhm.
a little bit of that. Group D right now is Flamengo with 3. They beat Tunis, and then Chelsea beat LAFC. They both have 3 goals. They both have 2 goal differential. LAFC and Tunis in third and four. And right now, as of this recording, River Plate have beat the Red Diamonds 3-1 in Group E. Inter and Monterrey have not kicked off yet. And then over in Group F, Dortmund and Fluminense played to a 0-0 draw. I think Reina didn't even play. And then you had right now Sundowns and Olsen HD are playing to a draw as it currently stands. Group G and H have not kicked off yet in the Club World Cup. So that's where we currently stand at Club World Cup. Are you ready to go over to Gold Cup?
yes,
All right, the CONCACAF Gold Cup has kicked off, and if we want to take a look first at the Mexico result, they beat Dominican Republic 3-2. Kind of surprised the Dominican
yeah, it
Republic
was two.
put 2 past Mexico. And then, of course, we did not let that happen in our game. USA, baby, 5-0 win over Trinidad and Tobago. Um, Saudi Arabia beat Haiti 1-0. Costa Rica beat Suriname 4-3. Panama beat Guadalupe 5-2. And Jamaica lost to Guatemala last night 1-0. That's pretty
Yes.
shocking, too. Jamaica's usually pretty good in this tournament. But I guess let's take a look at that USA result. 5-0 victory. What did we make of this? It felt like it kind of took us a bit to get going. It took 16 minutes for us to find our first one, but then it took us until the 41st minute to find the second one. And when it's 1-0 and you've experienced what we've experienced in US soccer, you're like, oh boy, we got to get some goals here. And then the floodgates open. 44th minute, Ajamang, Brendan Aronson in the 82nd, Haji Wright in the 84th, and Malik Tillman with the brace earlier.
Y-
So what did you make here of this 5-0 start?
Yeah, no, I thought, I mean, it was 1-0 for quite some time in the game, but I thought, I mean, it looked like Jordan, it looked like a younger team that really hadn't had a whole lot of run together. And there were a lot of pieces that were missing, and guys that some of these guys are used to playing with aren't around. So I think it was just trying to figure out how those guys play together and how that 11 starts and tries to finish it off these teams. And like you said, I think at first it did kind of have that feel of like, oh man, let's not do this again. But ultimately, as they got more comfortable in the game, as the game seemed to be at the level in which they were used to play, I think ultimately, it's got to be some nerves for some of these guys because they don't get to play in big tournaments like this with the U.S. men's national team. So it's a lot of guys' first time in to really have a chance to prove themselves to poach, and they've got a World Cup next year, and they're trying to make a roster. And I felt like it was very much that. I mean, early on, Ajaman had a lot of good chances. I thought Luna put in some good balls. I thought Tillman had a couple chances before that, before he started getting the score sheet. Where I mean, I really did. I felt like they were getting to their spots where they wanted to get to, and ultimately, the pressure just became too much for Trinidad. So I was. I mean, honestly, this was the more I had more fun watching this game, Jordan, than I've had watching U.S. men's national team since like the World Cup. Like that's how bad U.S.
Mm.
men's national team has been for me in my eyes. Like I haven't had this much fun since our group stage game because I feel like we're in a really weird spot right now with U.S. men's. There's just so much negativity around this team going into this tournament. I was just ready to watch guys compete, and it's almost better that we get this version of the U.S. men's national team where it's guys that want to be there, that have the passion, the desire, because I've had time to kind of sit and think about all the all the stuff that's been surrounding this team, Jordan, and I've started to listen to some of the other perspectives, and you don't see Ronaldo. He's 40 years old, Jordan. He's playing for Portugal in their competitions, and he's also playing for club. Lionel Messi is playing for Argentina, and he's playing at almost 40 years old. Like these guys are all playing the same amount of games, so I am starting to have that same kind of you don't really have an excuse. I mean, these kids are hungry, and I'm happy that they've stepped in because I think it will create some competitive advantages for the U.S. Just because I mean, think about this: Pulisic and McKennie and them all step back into this camp. Like these guys are gunning for their spots. Like whether they can get them or not is to question. But if you don't want to come to camp, then don't come to camp.
Mauricio Pochettino is the first U.S. men's national team coach to lose 5 of his first 10 games. That goes back to since Lothar Osander from 86 to 88. A long time back then. So vibes were down. I actually put out a poll. I'm going to share the results here. Well, first I put out a poll. Actually, it said um, Club World Cup and Gold Cup kick off today. This was on Saturday, obviously. Which are you looking forward to more? 44% said Club World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
38 said Gold Cup, and 18 said neither. Okay. Then I ran another poll on Sunday when we were kicking off. Vibe check before the game, and I listed the options. I believe that we will win, draw, lose. Vibes are so bad, I don't care. 62% said, I believe that we will win. And they were right. 15% said draw, 8% said lose, and 15% said vibes are so bad they didn't care. So that's kind of where we were going
Yeah.
into this, right? Some people were very apathetic. They didn't really care how this was going to go. And none of it was helped by the drama that you were referring to off the pitch. And, I came on here a couple weeks ago and defended Christian Pulisic by not playing. They said he had a hip issue. Somebody said that he was dealing with that in Milan. He then featured in Milan's last games, right? Then this is where, he left. So this is where the story, the more you tell a lie or the more you tell a story trying to make yourself sound better,
Yeah.
is where you can get off sounding worse and worse. And it starts
Yeah.
making people question stuff. So this is what I mean. We had last week, we talked about it. Donovan and Howard came out and said, hey, and Donovan had a really good point saying, I think I am the one, because people are saying, how can you speak about this when you are somebody that took time off? And he said, I feel like that makes me even more the person to talk about this. He said, when I took
Right.
that break, I didn't know if I was ever going to play again. And that he is correct that he took a break from all of soccer. He did not just take a
Yes.
break from the U.S. men's national team. So I give Donovan credit there. While I defended Donovan taking his break then, I defended Pulisic taking his break now. Here's where it kind of gets interesting. Because you have Donovan, he didn't even call him out, okay? He didn't mention any names, but Mark Pulisic has to go on there and defend his child. We talked about that last week. Then, after we got off of the recording, I guess, the next day or whatever, it's announced Pulisic is going to be on the Galazzo show on CBS
Mm-hmm.
Sports Galazzo. And I was like, this is not what you should be doing. You should
No.
be ignoring it. If you need the break, take the break. Do not get roped into any of this stuff. If you're mad at Donovan, tell him behind the scenes. You don't have to
Right.
come out on TV and tell us. Because guess what? His interview didn't really clear anything up. In fact, it made me have more questions, because then he said he offered to play in the friendlies. So
Yes.
did he need a break or not? That's where I'm
Right.
getting confused. So you asked to play in the friendlies. Pochettino made the right call and said, we want one squad for these games, which makes sense. He wants to make sure he has those players bought in. And if Pulisic's not going to be at the Gold Cup, why play him in the friendlies? Because he needs
Right.
to figure out who's going to play in Pulisic's spot. It made no sense to offer to play in those friendlies and not play in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
So if that actually happened, which is what he said, fine. But then you said you needed a break. So why even play the friendlies? Why even offer that? Just say I'm not available. I'm declining the call up. And you know what? If Polch has a problem with that, he has a problem with that, and you'll have to deal with that. But now you're on there trying to defend yourself, and then you're on these interviews with former players, and they, from what we heard from Tim Howard, Weston and Mark Pulisic have kind of held interviews where they won't let them go there because of their critiques. And so, how am I supposed to believe that these players that are interviewing him on Galazzo are being able to ask him anything? Like
Yeah.
if they push back, apparently Mark Pulisic can threaten to take the interview away. Like, so then you
Yeah.
lose your access. That is wild to me. That is wild to me. And so I feel like while you're going on there and trying to make everything open, it made everything worse, and it put a spotlight on it that we didn't need. Because then people are asking Pochettino this. Hey, did he ask to play in those games? And
Yeah. And that's
why?
where it got really ugly.
And that's where it got, because Poch is saying, like, I am not a mannequin. I am the
Yeah.
manager, right? Like,
Right. Yeah. He was like, no,
um,
no, 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 no. Oh, um, so many things to say. And again, I've tried to be as careful as possible, but Jordan, it's getting to a point where
you don't have to be careful. We're not getting the
that's
interviews.
true. Yeah, that's true. And we're not credentialed for the US anyway. And if we were, we whatever. Jordan, this is becoming that it's that entitled, it's that like, why are the fathers of these players involved? Like, why does Claudio Reyna, why does Mark Pulisic, was that his name? Um, why does Weston McKennie's father, what in the world do you have to do with, like, do you do this with their clubs
Are
too?
they the
Like,
managers? That's what
right,
I'm
are
trying
they
to figure
they're
out.
mannequins, right? But I just, it's become to the point, Jordan, where there's going to be a decision that has to be made, right? And is it's so bad that we've gotten to these tournaments and we've had some kind of weird negativity. Think back, the World Cup, Gio Reyna, that's when all that crap was happening with Claudio, and
Yeah.
like a US men's national team legend. Now
I'll
you've got,
say, here, that's what I was just, at
yeah,
least Claudio is a legend
as
of the U.S.
yes,
men's national
yeah,
team.
nobody even knows who Mark
Who's Mark
Pulisic is,
Pulisic?
right?
Come on.
It's become, Jordan, where I am to the point where if the team is going to be better mentally without Christian Pulisic, then you leave him out. You do. Like, I get it. He's a tremendous talent. He's a captain, and that might piss some people off. But at this point, if this is going to be an issue, that's what, if I'm Pochettino, I'm like, if this is going to be an issue, then you don't have to play for us. You don't. Like, I'm sorry, but if it's going to be an issue, we're going to take, I'd much rather take this team that we saw this weekend with guys that want to play and want to be here. I'd much rather see them with Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson, who are in the team, who have also played the same amount of games as you, Christian Pulisic, as you, Weston McKennie. Like, they have played more games than you. So I just don't understand. Like, I know Christian has a long history of injuries, but he's also got a long history of now issues that he's caused by being a leader on this team. Like, a leader, Jordan, it it would be wild if Harry Kane went to Tuchel and went, you know what? I don't really want to play in the Euros. I don't. This doesn't sound like fun. Like, I need rest. I'd be like, dude, they would be an uproar in England.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it would be. Now, of course, people are gonna say it's the Euros. It's not the same level as the Gold Cup. Here's
it's
another
our
way to
level.
fix this. Here's another way to fix this. Move the Gold Cup to once every 4 years instead
Yeah.
of every 2 years. Then you won't have players as burnt out. I think on our end. I don't know.
I
Like
just have
maybe
an
he would
issue. Yeah.
maybe he would want to play in the Gold Cup if it was every 4 years instead of being
Yeah.
like, oh, I already played in the one last time. You know what I'm saying? Like that might affect stuff. I think this will mostly blow over. The issue is, like I said, by the next camp he's getting called in, he's going to show up. All right, but fans don't forget. Now, of course, I am. Like I said, I don't care if he shows up to the Gold Cup really or not. I don't. I'd rather him be healthy for next year. I really don't care. But what I care about is when you're feuding with former internationals, when then you're going on TV to tell the story about how you needed rest, but you also wanted to play the friendly, and it just gets muddied. It just gets muddied, and then people have to ask Pochettino, and then he responds with fire, and you're like this isn't helping anything, and in fact, it's a distraction. It really
Yeah.
is a distraction that I think could have been all you had to do if you were Pulisic is not go on TV. Uh, yeah, even when your dad makes that post, don't like it. Don't
Right.
like it, right? Or even if you do like it, just don't go on TV and have to explain yourself. And guess what? Most of this other stuff with Pochettino just goes away. It
Yeah.
would never have happened, and it's fine. That's where I kind of sit and think, do these players not have some sort of press person that helps them with this stuff? Because it really felt like it seemed like they had no guidance with the press and they're just digging their hole deeper and deeper. And I'm like, just stop talking. Just
Yeah.
stop talking. Take your break. If he puts the post out there saying exactly what the doctor ordered. Fine. Enjoy your vacation. Just don't make it worse by then being like, oh, I'm going back to training in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And it's like, so why'd you take the break? Like, it didn't seem like it was about a break then. It was very confusing. So it's like, just stop talking. People accepted it originally. Just move on. And just let the talking heads are going to talk. That's their
Yeah.
job. Ignore them. It kind of bothers me that all of these US players and their dads are kind of worried about what legends are saying. Just turn it off. Don't pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Christian has not necessarily, Jordan, been a person that's always made good decisions. He was also, remember, the one after a certain gun incident over here in the United States decided he was going to post his lovely support for gun rights. I just, there's something with Christian that he's just got to do something to push it to the person out. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be like, think about your role, like, think about, I mean, these kids that you're a role model to, right? I mean, think about all the people that are wearing number 10 jerseys. And that's the other thing that was a great point that Landon Donovan was saying, and all of the US guys were saying. Dempsey was saying it as well, because Dempsey was a little bit more of like, I get it, I understand, but also like, I don't really agree necessarily with Landon. But also I can see Christian's point and also see Landon's point. Like, I'm not going to get in the middle of it, but Dempsey made a clear point to say, you are the number 10. There's a reason you're the number 10. And every single 10 that's existed has been the captain. He has been the steady force. And for you to do the things that you're doing outside of the team that seem to be all about Christian, that's what you can't have. Like, you cannot have this all happen because this makes it feel like, well, Christian's going to do what Christian wants to do, whether it's detrimental to the team or not. So I thought Dempsey was probably the most level because he's not in it. Like, he's not, he's not in it with Tim Howard, and because Howard and Donovan have that podcast together. I felt like
Yeah.
and Dempsey's always seemed to be the unfiltered one, right? Like, I think Landon and Tim still try to play the, you know, we're getting on Christian, but we also have to play the we're still leaders in this where Dempsey's kind of like that rugged edge where he's like, no, like, say what you say it with your full chest. Like, this is a problem and this is why. So
Well, yeah, somebody did point this out, but like I remember when a player was asked who I think it was like a Chelsea player or one of the dual nationals was in a video with Christian and they had to guess who his favorite U.S. men's national team player was, and they'd guessed Donovan, and Pulisic made a very like face like no, like obviously
yeah,
I know it's Dempsey, but it's like so it seems like he doesn't like Donovan even before he was a
right.
pro. It seems like that is something that uh it is what it is. I wonder if he was. I wonder as a kid if he was upset about Donovan missing
It could have been.
uh, the sabbatical, but then
Could
is
have been.
also taking his own because I think that'd
Yeah.
be funny. But um,
Could have been.
yeah, I don't know. Like it seems like there's some sort of animosity there, one sided anyway, at least. Because I think everything that Donovan is saying makes sense. Everything Howard is saying makes sense. If the players are actually going into their DMs and saying like, "Don't
Yeah.
say that stuff about me," it's like that's their job. Even
Right.
if it's like a critique, even if you think it's an unjust critique, ignore it. Just move. I don't understand why that have like we don't get that too much. I guess you kind of get it with basketball, right? Like there'll be people that'll be like, Halliburton, what do you think about what
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith said? And
And he
you're
said,
like,
I don't care. And those aren't former
exactly.
players,
They
right?
they
Like,
and they blow it off, you
right.
know?
Even former players, they'll say stuff indirectly or directly to them. Where
Yeah.
I feel like basketball, they'll air it out. Like they'll air it out to each other. I feel like this is again it's soft. It's the narrative. It's the narrative that has fit this team, and unfortunately, it seems to be correct. It seems to me that Gio Reyna, that Weston McKennie, that Christian Pulisic, they get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
If you say this about Brendan Aronson, I'm not sure Brendan would really care. I would be like, okay, whatever. Like Tyler Adams or Matt Turner. Like
Oh yeah, I
you
don't think
say it to
Tyler
them,
Adams would care at all.
no,
Yeah.
I
I don't
don't.
think he
I
would.
don't think he would care. Whereas I feel like Christian is waiting. And it's not like he's performing better when there's like some guys use that as fuel. Like, come on, fuel me. I dare you. I can see Weston maybe doing that some, but like it's the three. It's the three of them. We've had issues with the three of them. I mean, it's an attitude problem. Like it's an attitude problem. It's a I'm better than the world kind of thing. And it's a me before the team. And that's just not something that because I'd be interesting to hear it'd be interesting to hear Jordan Timothy Weah, right? Who's not very vocal. It'd be interesting to hear Tyler Adams. What are their like they're not going to come out and say, well, Christian's wrong, but like I'd be interested to see what they're thinking. Like, what is that inner circle of those players, the really gritty ones? What are they saying about them? Because that's going to become a conversation. Like, these dudes abandoned us. Like, that's just straight up what it was.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's funny. I don't know if I would want like in my mind like I don't know what I would want the other players to do in this. I would rather
Right?
them just kind of stay quiet, but like
Mm-hmm.
um but do any of them go to Christian and be like, "Look, you shouldn't have
We're
gone to the
playing.
media about that."
Right.
Or would it be more like, "You know what? We have your back because you're part of this team. You're crucial." And I would be fine with either of those
Yeah.
options, honestly. Like
Yeah.
just whatever keeps the vibes good as we go into the World Cup. That is the big thing. Um
But the kids were good, Jordan. Sorry to take away from this game. I hope we give them enough justice here, just because they deserve
yeah,
their
we
flowers.
usually do okay against Trinidad here, and
Yeah,
that is the thing, right? So like because I remember what like Jesus Farah has
yeah,
scored like a hat trick one year or whatever. We were watching Trinidad and Tobago. I think it was another goal. I think it was the last Gold Cup. He went out there and wrecked them, and you're like, all right, great. But you don't, or it was through qualifying here. But anyway, you're like, oh, we don't have qualifying this year. Never mind.
yeah.
Nations League maybe, I don't know. But it was one of these tournaments where we went out there, we smashed them. And I don't know if there's enough to be learned about this. I'm actually more curious about Thursday night's game against Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia beat
Good team.
Argentina the last time they went out there.
Yeah,
Argentina won the World Cup. Like, you know, that's what it is. And then of course Sunday we have against Haiti. Haiti we should beat. I think we should move on clearly, and we should then have to worry about who we face after that. So hopefully by next week when we're recording, we're looking at 9 points or 7 points. You know, draw with Saudi Arabia, beat Haiti, get 7 points, get 9 points, and get out of the group, and then we can
yeah.
start looking ahead at the knockout stage. Over in MLS, we had the Columbus Crew beat the Whitecaps, a 6-match winless rut that the Crew were on, and they stopped that skid. They get a 2-1 win over the Whitecaps. Just, pretty awesome. for Columbus, not really for anybody else, I guess. If you're a Vancouver fan, you're like, dang, like maybe we're starting to lose it a bit. But um, pretty cool to see the Crew stop that skid. We were starting to ask questions. What's going on with the Crew? How's it going to go? They get a big win.
Yeah, huge win. I mean, this is the Crew, a good team in the Eastern Conference. Always going to have title aspirations, I think, and playing against the Whitecaps. I mean, this is the best team in MLS right now. So it does suck. Like Jordan, I hate these windows because it takes away all these players from their teams.
Yeah.
Like I don't like these international windows, especially when it has to do with the CONCACAF teams because it takes away a lot of the players where you're just not getting full strength. Like that's what you want to see, right? In the product, you want to see full strength teams. Well, most of these teams aren't at full strength right now. So this is a tough time. A good win, but these June July matches are really hard to take things from just because of all the competitions coming up and the weird schedules and the FIFA Club World Cup where fans are at those, not at it's this is a weird. It's almost Jordan. It almost feels preseason-y, like in the middle of a season.
Yeah. Did Is this the first time Vancouver has slipped from first place in a while on
Yeah,
the
I
supporter
would
shield? Like
I would
there's
say
still a game in hand.
yeah.
But 2 points difference now as Philly's taking that spot up above, but they're on the same points per game right now. But Vancouver, who are on an awesome run here for a bit, they've only lost 2 games. This is their second loss that they've had, and it's like, dang. Now they have a game in hand, but like if you remove 3 points from the Union, they would have still had that 1 point advantage over the Union uh, last week. And now here you go into this week. The Union leapfrog them because the Union win, Vancouver lose. And we'll be keeping an eye on that. But even then, San Diego now is getting closer. They're 2 points closer to Vancouver. When we were thinking maybe Vancouver is going to start running away with it, San Diego 33 points. So just something to keep an eye on there. Um, Union. Wow. It's amazing to me that we get these, you know, um, I don't even realize it, I guess, when I'm watching the game. But then you get the thing at the end that they share, and they're like, 10-match unbeaten streak, the
Yeah,
longest in club history. And I'm like, that
right.
actually surprises me.
Yeah,
Doesn't that
yeah.
surprise you
It
after how good they
does with the
were to
Union.
win the
Yes.
supporter shield,
Yep.
getting the MLS Cup? There was never a 10-match stretch before where they went unbeaten. That
Yeah.
seems pretty crazy. Especially there was like a whole season where we were undefeated at home. So we must have just been
Right.
blowing road games, like constantly or something. It's just kind
Yeah.
of crazy to me.
Because you'll see quite a few teams get to like the 8-game unbeaten streak. Like that's pretty common. Unbeaten, right? Like you can draw and win. Like you see a lot of good teams and the top of leagues do that. So like, what's two more? So yeah, it is very interesting to me. In fact, I think who was it? The Revs have just had a 9-game unbeaten streak, right? Like
Mm.
that's weird. I was reading that. I was like, that's odd. But again, I think it speaks to how good this Union team is. I think we've taken for granted just how good this team has become. And Jordan, I mean, hell, it was what now a month ago or a little bit over a month ago. We were talking about they just got rid of one of their MVP caliber midfielders, and now we're sitting here on what is it, June 17th, and we're talking about the Union being the best team in MLS. So, what a wild turn of events. I know it's probably got to be wild as a fan to look up in June and all of a sudden you're in the top of the league going, what? What just happened? Especially with the low expectations you had coming into the year for him. It's just got to be like, all right, we'll take that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would take this every like. Look, it was even without the win, it would have been an unbeaten match streak still,
Yeah.
right? But the 97-58 goal by Marcus Anderson to get the win against Charlotte was absolutely awesome to
Yeah.
see. Like that was great. Uh, First MLS goal, right, for Marcus Anderson. So really cool story there, and that's without Baribo, without Ua, right? Like And Quinn Sullivan, right? Like there was a lot of players that were out for them, and they still get it done. That's got to be awesome to feel. Just even for Marcus Anderson, but also for the fans, of course, who are watching this. As I mentioned, San Diego, we're continuing to roll on. So they beat Minnesota United. Cincy snapped a 4-game winless streak, and New England have snapped a 9-game unbeaten streak, right? So the Cincinnati beat, the way I word that better, right? Cincinnati beat the Revs 1-0. So, the Revs were working on a 9-game unbeaten streak. That would have been crazy after how, if they would almost have matched the Unions, which would have been a Union club
Yeah,
record, but New England's
right.
like, no problem. We're getting there, even after that awful start of the season.
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy.
Yeah, the what is it? The 11th place team matches your unbeaten streak.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. St. Louis had a hat trick from Klaus and drew with the Galaxy 3-3. That was another late goal.
Very late, almost at
Like
death.
the Union. Yeah. Austin beat Red Bulls 2-1. Nashville continued their climb in the East with a 2-0 victory over the Fire. Montreal have a 3-1 win over Houston. Dallas beat SKC 4-2. Orlando beat the Rapids 1-0. And RSL snapping their losing streak with who else? DC United 2-0. Like if you want to if you want to snap your streak, DC is the game.
Especially
Is the
without
place to do
Christian.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's get to our name and shame segment here. So player of the week, I think we have both have the same one here. It's going to be Klaus, right?
Yeah.
And goal of the week, you have Dreyer. I didn't prepare a goal of the week. I'm now sitting
Jordan,
here.
he hit it from midfield, so just say Dryer. he hit it
But my
from...
heart is saying Marcus Anderson.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you
All
dare
right,
take
I'll
this
go
away
with
from
Dreyer.
him.
There you go.
Yeah. And I figured we would do goal or game or shame because we can do that next week. Because Jordan, the schedule's
There's
weird
no
once
games,
again.
right?
Yeah, no games this weekend for MLS.
This is what they should have done for the first Club World Cup weekend.
Yes.
So that way all eyes
midweek.
would have been on those
Right.
games. I don't understand.
Doesn't make
man.
any sense.
No, but we got some Gold Cup tonight. Canada's going to kick off their Gold Cup tonight at 9:00. Monterrey and Inter Milan. That sounds like a fun Club World Cup game. By the time this episode's out, that's probably going to be kicking off or so. So just make sure. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Tomorrow at noon. What better time to play a game in Philadelphia on a Wednesday than Manchester City versus Wydad?
I mean, the Wydad faithful there, I've heard, is absolutely through the roof. They're
yes,
big
they love
noon.
them in Philly.
Yeah.
3:00 at Hard Rock. We have Madrid and Al Hilal from they're from Saudi, right?
Yeah.
And then we have at 6:00 Pachuca versus Salzburg. Then at 9:00 we have Al Ain versus Juve. So it might see McKenny, I guess. And then Mexico is going to play again, and Costa Rica are going to play again tomorrow for the Gold Cup. Thursday, we have USA versus Saudi Arabia at 9:15 on FS1 at Q2 Stadium. We also have some Club World Cup games like Palmeiras versus Al Ahly at 12:00 at MetLife Stadium. That game's going to be empty. Miami versus FC Porto at 3:00. That should be fun. 6:00 Seattle versus Atletico Madrid. Not at Atletico versus Atletico Madrid.
3:00 local time.
3:00 local time in Lumen Field. What the hell? Why is that not the 9:00? Well,
I don't understand.
The 9:00 game is PSG at
Which
Rose
really makes
Bowl.
no sense. What would it be? It'd be 6 hours.
It's at the
ahead.
Rose Bowl though, so they got to have their West Coast as well.
Yeah, they'll fill it up, but like, could you imagine having to? You want to watch your PSG guys play? You have to wake up at 3 a.m.
Friday we have 12:00 at Interco. Here you go. Take off work and go see Benfica.
There we go.
versus Auckland.
All
There you
right.
go. Benfica versus Auckland. Go skip work that
Go see the
day.
dentist.
Go see them. Then we have at 2:00 Chelsea versus Flamengo. That is at Lincoln Financial Field. LAFC versus Tunis at 6:00 at Geodis. Then we have some Gold Cup games like Jamaica, Guadalupe. Then a Bayern versus Boca Juniors 9:00 Friday night. That's pretty legit. And then we have Guatemala versus Panama in the Gold Cup. Saturday, we have Dortmund going up against our favorite South African team. That's at 12:00. 3:00, we have Inter Milan, versus Red Dragons. Fluminense versus UHD at 6:00. Got some Club World Cup Gold Cup games, and then of course River Plate versus Monterrey. I almost said Montreal. And then Sunday we have more games. That's the USA game as well, 7:00 against Haiti on Big Fox. So make sure you check that out. Mexico is also going to play at 8:00 that night.
Costa Rica too. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, and then Seattle's going to play again on Monday. So we'll probably, and so will Miami. So we'll probably be by the time we record again on Tuesday, we'll kind of
Seattle
know the
will have
fate.
beaten PSG. Yeah, that's
Yes,
crazy.
we'll know the fate of Seattle and Miami for sure because those will be their last Club World Cup games on Monday. So
But they're not
that's
moving
what.
on.
And yeah, so like you said, no MLS games this week. When's the next time we have games?
Midweek
Is it
next
week? Oh,
Yeah.
midweek.
Yeah, it's a midweek thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesday. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, again, Club World Cup's going on that day too.
Well, yeah, it's going to happen every
It's
day.
just
They should have
crazy.
either taken a break or
And then they play
I don't
Saturday
know.
too. The MLS does.
Mm.
It's so much soccer in the US. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Just go to your
kind
local soccer stadium. You'll find somebody playing.
of yeah, seriously. All right, so no game of the week, no shame of the week because
No.
guess what? I don't know. They can all
It's
be
the
game of the week
US.
or they can all be shame
Yeah.
of the week, depending on if you want to throw shame at Club World Cup stuff or
Shame.
not.
Shame.
All right, well that'll wrap us up here on another glorious Stateside Soccer Show episode. Thank you all for watching and listening along with us. Next week we'll recap the Gold Cup and Club World Cup games that happened this weekend. We'll look ahead to the midweek and weekend games that'll be happening in MLS. So thank you. See you next time.